Children growing, women producing, men go working, some do stealing. Everyone's got to make a living.
Please welcome our host, Multimedia Empress.
Well, my vision and how I got started 3 years ago, actually it started about 5 years ago as I began to venture out into the social networks online. I started visiting places like Black Planet, MySpace, those were the in things at the time. And I just started making connections with people, started blogging, started, participating in forums, participating in providing content for those sites. And what happened was I found myself spending so much time online that I felt like I really needed to find a way to monetize what I was doing because I was spending so much time online. So I decided, since I was participating in all these social networks, that I would start a blog myself and put the content that I would normally be just giving to them on my blog, so that at least people would have to come through my blog to be able to see the story or whatever. And I just, I started blogging. I also started playing around with a video camera and started doing various things with pictures and making montages, just dealing with various forms of digital media. And then about 3 years ago, I decided to really go at this hard and develop my company into being a source content location for places like Facebook, MySpace, where people would be interested in the content that I had enough to share it in their social networks. And I was really doing it all for fun. But then 3 years ago, I really decided that, I needed to start doing it, more or less as a business. Well, my business morphed into being in the music business, because at first it really was about just politics, topics of the day, opinion editorials. And I remember one time I was doing something in a social network, and an artist approached me and he said, "Would you write a story about us and put it in your blog?" And from that moment, a light bulb sort of went on, and I realized there was very much a niche, a good niche, for people who needed exposure, needed to be interviewed and have a place to have that interview, appear, where they could then share it into their social networks. And it all sort of just came together. I started doing the written interviews for artists, publishing them into my own blogs. And I also, at that time, 3 years ago, when I first got started, if people will remember, I had a blog called 1-800-RANT.com. It is actually still 1-800-RANT.com, but it also has another address as hotmusicrelease.com. I had a blog talk radio show at that time called The Miss Rant Show, where I got a lot of traction. I was a big YouTube partner. And I started channeling all those connections and all that audience into having a place to showcase the music artists that I were now sort of circling with online. And so, yes, I do love music. I have always loved music. It's just amazing that I have found myself now being solid in the independent music business. It's fascinating. I listen to a lot of music on a daily basis. Trust that. Well, my business has morphed into, a hybrid multimedia PR firm. I like to describe myself and what I do as, number one, I'm an entrepreneur. Number two, I'm a music publicist. And number three, I own various digital media outlets such as Urban Indie Radio Los Angeles, which is a radio station that represents Los Angeles and West Coast kind of music. I also own 713fm.com, which is a independent radio station, internet based for Houston, and I'm also launching a third one this year. So I actually work with artists as far as the music publicist side of what I do, all over the country, all over the world. The internet makes the world a very small place. What I do is I try to build a presence, an actual internet presence and fan base for music artists all over the world. And so I do that utilizing my digital media outlets, my radio stations, my blogs, and my online magazines. That's very much the crux of what I do. In fact, the way that my radio stations and all that came about was it was a way and a means for me to be able to offer my artists exposure. So my artists are absolutely getting exposure. I have Artist Showcase TV, which is a 24-hour music video channel. I have radio stations which pay royalties, so the artists are at least getting, you know, some compensation for their radio spins while they're getting exposure. And I have digital, various digital magazines, which I hope we can get into a little bit more in depth later in this interview. I represent various local and national artists. Let's see, some of the more known, I think, artists, Dreadhead Wayne is one. He was out of the Midwest. I currently represent a certified coast-to-coast DJ, DJ Fred Malone, who is very popular from Chicago to Houston. I represent currently an artist here locally whose name is Moss, a very dynamic young man, talented lyricist, and a very savvy businessman, I might add. I represent an artist out of Detroit right now. His name is Crime 313. And I represent another dynamic entrepreneur. I don't know how I've been so lucky to represent some very good people and with great talent. Another talented entrepreneur producer, and Dino from Mysterious Entertainment out of Texas as well. So, but I've also credited for various exposure credits, not people who I have been their publicist of record, but that I have done exposure for them via my Urban STARZ Media outlets. People like Vincent Ward, who was on the #1 cable TV channel show last year, The Walking Dead. We've done Sounds of Blackness, Grammy winning gospel jazz group, The Sounds of Blackness. We have done exposure credits for El DeBarge Jr. I mean, the list just goes on. And we've also helped so many unsigned artists get exposure through our networks by giving them radio spins and magazine features as well. A part of what my business now involves as we continue to grow involves doing media partnerships. Now, this is something actually that I have been doing all the while that I've been in business, but I just now started really making this an asset. So generally what I will do will be to media partner with an event and say, there's going to be a concert, you know, in 2 months here in Los Angeles or whatnot. I will begin to build the internet trail as far as publicity is concerned by blogging into Urban STARZ Media networks, our network blogs, but also I write for and contribute to other networks such as Yahoo, All Voices, Star Pulse. So I can put your article, your press release, your write-up in 10 to 15 different places myself. And some of these have high SEO Google rankings, so your visibility is going to be pretty high. So what I've offered to do locally is I will media partner your event, put your press releases out, give you interviews through my radio station, give you shout outs, and put your flyers and whatnot in all these magazines, online blogs and magazines, just simply for a VIP entry into your event. So some of the events that we have done here recently were the Siren Studios Facet Fashion Show in Hollywood. We recently did the Christopher Williams LA Nights event here in Inglewood at the Hollywood Park Casino. So we're doing upscale events simply for a VIP entry for me and my crew to come in. And so once we have completed the pre-event publicity, we go to the event, we take some pictures, and generally the post-event publicity involves those pictures going on to ontheblackcarpet.com. So it really closes the loop, giving the client pre and post event publicity. And we're also, I'm actually available to do that for events outside of Los Angeles. I am willing to travel with some arrangements being made on the client's part, but I can't actually do everything that I do as far as the internet publicity, no matter where you are in the country. So people who are interested in getting their events partnered with me may do so for a small fee. And originally, one of my first media partners was a nonprofit organization called Fathers Inc. Fatherhood Inc. And I media partnered their charitable fundraisers and whatnot. And so media partnering is not something new for my company, and I look forward to doing it, and I very much enjoy doing it, and I like going to the events also. Indie Celebrity Magazine. Well, there's a story that I need to tell about that spot first. So I developed this magazine, online magazine, probably no more than 6 months ago, and I called it the New Hype Magazine. I was looking for a place to really feature new music artists, emerging music artists, and decided to call it the New Hype Magazine. I also at that time launched a music contest, which is still ongoing, and we'll talk about that later if we have time. But the New Hype Magazine sort of became a really nice spot. Just recently, I actually was contacted by the owner of the Hype magazine, informing me that there has been some confusion in the marketplace about my magazine and their magazine, and they respectfully asked me, since they have been using that name for 11 years, if there was some way that we could work it out, whereas, we wouldn't have this confusion in the marketplace. And I was so, it was amazing to me to hear them say that my customers had been actually calling their magazine, 3 or 4 of them, to get in the magazine. So it was almost like I'm the one who's losing business behind this name confusion. So let me go ahead and change. And just like that, I had already owned IndieCelebrity.com. I was planning to do something a little bit different with a new site and that name. So I decided now to make that site IndieCelebrity.com. And so I'm rolling in some new features to that magazine. And so it's going to be even bigger and better than the New Hype magazine. One of the things that we're doing that's going to be hot and new is we're actually going to be doing video interviews. So this is actually my first time doing a video interview, and I'm just sort of doing it to sort of get myself in practice for doing interviews for that magazine. Indie Celebrity Magazine online will contain what it has now as far as artist write-ups, bios, interviews, but now we will also be adding Skype interviews, so we will have some video content for our clients. And then the big thing about IndieCelebrity.com and Indie Celebrity Magazine, we will actually be putting out a print and digital form of this magazine. So we're actually going to be doing a print version, which people will be able to purchase and have it mailed to your home. So if you make IndieCelebrity.com, you can actually do video interview, and you can actually get a magazine mailed to your home with you in it. The radio stations, Urban Indie Radio Los Angeles, and I'm just so thrilled. Today, actually tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of Urban Indie Radio Los Angeles. We launched August 13 of 2012, and boy, did we just take off right away. Such a market for this type of radio station representing Los Angeles, representing the West Coast and the West Coast sound. I always tell people, they ask me, is it that you only play Los Angeles artists? And the answer to that is no. If you listen to our station for 24 hours, you're going to hear a majority of what would be termed West Coast music, but we will play artists from all around the world, all around the country, the globe, on Urban Indie Radio Los Angeles, as long as it is in an urban genre sounding music. Our station it averages between 20 and 30,000 views and listeners a month. Very popular station for celebrity interviews. As I mentioned, we've had high quality, high level celebrities such as Sounds of Blackness, Vincent Ward, Talia Coles, VH1 reality star Talia Coles. We've had El DeBarge Jr. We've had Grammy producers, song producers. We've had so much talent come through our very first year in Urban Indie Radio Los Angeles. It has been absolutely amazing, and I'm so very proud of Urban Indie Radio Los Angeles. We also have Urban Indie Radio Houston, which launched last month. in its pre-launch phase, it was already getting like 10,000 views as far as the website, 713fm.com. So 713fm.com, how it came about, I was down in Houston earlier this year doing a music panel. I was asked to come out and do a panel there. And I talked to artists after the panel who simply told me, you know what, we've got about one radio station down here on the FM dial. They don't play any independent music. We need an outlet for our music. So that sort of stuck in my head, and I said to myself then I was going to try and put a radio station that would represent the artists down there. And Houston in Texas has some of the most upper echelon of underground artists. I mean, people like Zero and Kurt Cobain's, and their music is hot, and they just really not the average artist out there has a venue for their music. So that's why I decided to do 713fm.com. And we hope that it's going to grow and be just as fantastic as Urban Indie Radio Los Angeles. Like I said, we just launched it last month. Okay, so when I launched the Indie Celebrity Magazine, I launched the New Hype Music Contest. This is a music contest that's going to net 15 artists a compilation album. What we do is we have asked for submissions from artists, and we do a show approximately every 2 to 3 weeks called the Pop It or Drop It Show, where a panel of judges, including myself, usually a DJ, we usually have an artist and an artist developer. We critique the songs. The songs sort of have to stand on their own. It's not necessarily that we are competing songs against songs. The songs have to be strong on their own to be able to advance. There's only 3 to 4 songs per round. Each round there is a winner, and each winner gets a slot on our compilation album. We have had a lot of success in our first season. We're about to tape our 5th show this coming Wednesday, and then our 6th show will be at the beginning of September, and then we'll be on hiatus for our first season. We'll be coming back sometime in October, November, starting our 2nd season. And it's really a good contest. I mean, for $35, you're actually getting an entry into this contest. You're getting a feature on IndieCelebrity.com letting everyone know that you're in this contest. People can hear your song, they can see your contact information, and they can follow you. So I think it's a good opportunity for independent artists. I started this simply because, you know, that's what I do. I get exposure for independent artists, and I felt it was a proper way to launch IndieCelebrity.com at that time. And so we're going for 15 rounds. And like I say, anyone who wants to be in the contest, please contact me. I'm going to be giving you my contact information, hopefully at the end of this interview, so that if you want to get into this contest, again, it's only $35. You can go to IndieCelebrity.com right now and check it out. 2014 is going to continue to be a bust out year for me. Actually, every year at about this time in August, I do what I call the state of the rant. And that is, I sort of globally look at my business, what I've accomplished this year, what I need to accomplish next year. So in that light, what I want to accomplish for next year is centered around the new changes at IndieCelebrity.com. Not only are we adding Skype video interviews to the services that I provide, I will actually, for next year, be adding the capability of going to live events and doing live interviews on site, which is going to be very, 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 very huge, because we do attend a lot of events here. We're always asked to attend events, and even in some of the media partnerships that I was talking about earlier, we'll be able to go out and do some real coverage. As I mentioned before, I do have a entity called artistshowcase.tv, which is a 24-hour music video channel. I hope to bridge the two so that I have even more outlets for this video content that I will be producing. So I very much am going into that lane. The other major thing that I need to get established and will accomplish, and if not by the end of this quarter actually, but for certain at the beginning of next year, I am definitely getting into the print magazine business. I will definitely be putting out a print magazine. There will be an indie celebrity magazine where artists can be featured, covers, half pages, quarter pages. And just imagine if you were an artist who has something new to drop, no one's really ever heard of you. You come through Urban STARZ Media, you get a radio interview, you get your song on the radio, you get a video interview, you get it video showcased on Artist Showcase TV, because on Artist Showcase TV, I can program you to play at 6 o'clock tonight. You can tell all your friends to come watch and look at the exposure this creates for you. And if that weren't enough, now you can also be in our print magazine, Indie Celebrity Magazine. So as you can see, I am building my media empire to encompass all things digital, all things media, radio, print, magazines, blogs, all of that. I really want to continue to work on the media partnerships. I see that as an avenue of where we can have a revenue stream. So obviously I want to do that. And for next year, I just, my whole thing that I have in my head is IndieCelebrity.com and Indie Celebrity Magazine. But if that weren't enough, I do have one other entity that I am launching, most likely by the end of this year, but for certain by the beginning of next year, and that is glamradio.fm. Glam Radio stands for Gospel, Life, Anointed Music. I have 2 radio stations now that cater to urban genre music and no gospel. So being the Christian and the Baptist that I am, I know I need to have a gospel radio station. So I do intend to launch my 3rd radio station either by the end of this year or the beginning of next year. And with that, I will be offering the gospel artists features in Indie Celebrity Magazine. So Indie Celebrity Magazine will be able to cover gospel, hip hop, all genres of music, all genres of entrepreneurs, books, films, TV, movies, everything. Indie Celebrity Magazine will be on par with some of your higher level magazines that you are familiar with now. That will be my goal. That is my focus. That's where Urban STARZ Media will be going in 2014. And I will continue to represent artists on a case-by-case basis. And I will continue to offer a la carte services such as we do now, where you can just get an interview or you can just get radio spins or whatnot. So all that and more, we're just going to keep growing and building and building and building and building. I have had this vision and this sort of desire to put on a concert since last year. I named it the New West Artist Showcase. I have chosen a venue. I have an outline for it. The only thing that I need now are sponsors. And so I've actually put that on the back burner until I could do some other things to solidify Urban STARZ Media and to be able to attract the sponsors for this concert. But yes, my vision for that is having the biggest independent concert of Southern California. And I'm not talking about an independent concert with artists like Kendrick Lamar or I'm talking about the real underground artists, those who would never, ever get outside of Los Angeles. Some of these kids have never even left the county of Los Angeles. So I'm trying to put them on the big stage in Orange County at the Grove and televise them to millions of people, audio stream, video stream, and I want to make it be the biggest thing that the biggest opportunity that they've ever seen. And so that is still very much in my mind and on the back burner. Hopefully I can pull that off sometime in 2014. Now, the record label. What can I say? I have gotten my business filings done for Insane One Records. Insane One Records has come about because I have so many artists coming into my office and I'm talking to so many different artists who have made tons and tons of songs. Some of them are really good. They have a lot of good, content and a catalog. And they simply do not know what to do with that music after that point. They don't know how to get it legal where that when it gets played, it's getting, paid, then it's getting tracked. If they're pressing up CDs, selling them on the streets or whatever, there's nothing tracking these sales, and they just don't have what it takes to get their music out there the way that it should. So Insane One Records has come about because I felt like I can give the artists what all artists need to promote their records, and that is publicity. And so I decided that some of these artists can't afford to pay me for my publicity packages, which, run anywhere from $800 to $1,200. So I decided to maybe offer them another way, especially to an artist who I feel has a lot of potential to be able to work with them. So when they're going to sign with Insane One Records, they're going to get their music legal, they're going to get a worldwide distribution deal, and they're going to get world-class promotions and publicity through STARZ Media. So Insane One Records is actually almost ready to go. I definitely will be. That'll be the third leg of the growth in 2014. Yes, I have some shout outs to give. This is my third annual State of the Rant. I would like to thank a gentleman who has been with me almost this whole time in some form or another with my company, and that is my radio host, the radio beast, Drew Pillow. Drew Pillow and the Celebrity Spotlight interviews are like the main feature of Urban Indie Radio Los Angeles. I have people calling me up saying, hey, I want that guy Drew Pillow to interview me. Hey, I heard that guy Drew Pillow interview such and such, and I want to get an interview with Drew Pillow. So Drew Pillow is my ace in the hole. He's one of the reasons what makes Urban Indie Radio Los Angeles what it is, and I want to thank him for being along for the ride for these last few years. Thank you so much, Drew. Also, DJ Lady P and Haji Mike, who hold it down on a weekly basis with their reggae mixes, interviews, and neo soul mixes on Urban Indie Radio Los Angeles. The other shout out I have is for Chi-Town's own DJ Malone. What would I do without my DJ Malone? He is holding it down on 713 FM. He is our resident and lead DJ for that station. He is so talented, very, very talented. Not only does he help me with my radio station, but he also helps get our clients, my clients, exposure through his ability to get them on coast to coast, and various mixtape sites where only a certified DJ could do. He hosts mixtapes for me and does a whole lot behind the scenes. So I definitely have to shout out DJ Fred Malone. I also like to shout out my client acquisition assistant. His name is Insane. Some of you have heard him doing interviews, doing the Pop It or Drop It show with me, and all of you know him because when we go out to events, he's the one that's going out talking to people, screening them, passing out the flyers, passing out the cards, and getting people in touch with STARZ Media. So I definitely have to shout out Insane. And if I have forgotten anyone, I'm so sorry, but thank you all to my fans. Without my social network, I would never have been able to be here, sitting in the midst of two offices, having a headquarters, having multiple radio stations, multiple online magazines, and multiple digital media outlets without the support of my social networks and my fans. And some of you, it's so amazing because I was just looking at this last night. Some people follow me on like 2 different Facebooks, 2 different Twitters, my Instagram. I'm like, that's a true fan to follow me on all those places, knowing that I'm publishing the same content on 5 different places, and you're seeing the same message from me 5 times a day. It's simply amazing, and I really, really do appreciate it. All my LinkedIn friends, all my Facebook friends, and just all my social networks. Absolutely. UrbanStarsMedia.com, LaShaunTurner.com, UrbanIndieRadio.com, 713FM.com, ArtistShowcase.tv, IndieCelebrity.com. Don't forget, hotmusicrelease.com. That is the press release side of my business, which I didn't mention earlier. 30, 40, 50,000 views a month. So if you got a single, a video, or a press release you need put out, send it to me. We have a very strong distribution circuit. So much. I could just go on and talk about all these outlets for days, but once again, anybody who wants to connect with me, please, you can go to any of those sites, but the best thing to do is just call me because, you know, I'm that accessible. 951-665-8365. Holla.